Cosmic Conversations. I am your host, Marla Martenson, and I'm so excited about this magical episode for you guys. I have the wonderful Linda Deir and her husband, Ray, who's
over here, you. Come over here.
Camera right now.
Here he is.
Hey, Ray.
Hello.
You guys, we've had Linda and Ray on the show before, but it's been quite a while, and we did a podcast the other day on the Mystical Matchmaker podcast, and the topic was so hot. It was so great. We had callers coming in, and I think it's going to be a perfect topic going into the new year 2020, and it's going to be about relationships, dating. So, hey, Linda.
Hey, Marla. So good to be with you again, Marla.
Yes, and you've got your tell everybody about what you've got in front of you there.
Okay, it's the dowsing tool that we use. This is all based on the principles of dowsing. This is a talking board that my spirit guides asked me to create in 1988 at my first channeling session. My dream teacher had me over to her house, and I had no idea that she was channeling her guides. And they were using a Ouija board because that was really all there was in those days. And my guides asked my dream teacher to bring me into a session. Nobody knew that my dream teacher and her friend were doing this. Okay, it was like they were hiding it. And so they kept saying, their guides kept saying, bring Linda in on a session, bring Linda in. And they wouldn't do it. And finally their guides came through and said, okay, we asked you to bring Linda in to a session, so we need you to perform on this. So we will no longer be coming through for you until you do perform on it. It was like an ultimatum, all right? So my dream teacher, under duress from the spirit guides, had me in the session and only tolerated me because I wasn't real chummy with her, but yet she was a really good dream teacher, but she didn't walk her talk type of thing. You know, I couldn't go there. But as a dream teacher, I learned everything I needed to learn. She had me over, threw a pad of paper at me, a pen, and said, start writing. And they came through with the information so they could get rid of me. And they could have that clandestine time together, her and her friend, to channel their guides without, interference, right? So they came through, my guides came through and said, they told me all kinds of things. It was December of 88, and they told me things that were going to happen over the course of the next year. And the California earthquake in Oakland, remember that one when the bridges came down and everything? They told me that was going to happen. And they said, and I was living in California at the time, they told me to get out of California, that my architectural practice at that time was going to take a hit because there was going to also be a recession. The recession started in December of 1989, 2 months after the earthquake happened in Oakland, California. And everything they told me was an absolute bullseye. They even told me when I moved to Arizona to leave my husband behind. That there's no use in moving with him because this will never work. Well, I couldn't quite get that one. I couldn't just say, see you, buddy, after being with him for 10 years, right? It was like, what? So I had to kind of ride that one out and let it play out. It turned out to be so true. It was mind-blowing how he changed when we moved to Arizona. He became nasty and awful and horrible. Okay. The whole thing was just amazing. They asked me in that session, Linda, we need your help. We need to have a talking board that doesn't cause fear and caution. We need one that we can reach people in the challenging times to come. We need a way to reach them, okay? And we need a new talking board. Are you in? And it's the only time they ever asked me for anything, okay? And they've never asked me for anything since. They've only given and given and given, all right. And I said, oh yeah, I'm totally in. I mean, I had that relationship with them since I was a baby. I was an architect. I was a graphic designer. I knew I had great business acumen. I knew how to stay with something and see it through. You know me, Marla. Man, I don't let go, all right? And I see it through. And that's how this 30 years ago, this is Ask the Universal Channel's 30-year anniversary this year.
That is amazing. And that, you guys, the picture on her book Guided is her angel. Tell
Right here. Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
people how you took that picture.
Yeah. In 1994, at Christmas time again, there's Christmas. What's up with these guides? They come at me like that at Christmas. So anyway, they came to me and they said, I was in the room with the kids running around the Christmas tree, the blah 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 going on, and I had a Nikon camera, film days, 1994, right? And I was taking pictures of everything, and I turned around, bam, there my guide was, just lit up the whole room, and I had my camera, and I took the photograph. I looked around and I said, "Did you guys see that?" And they said, "See what?" Right? Same response. I said, "Nothing." So I came home, from California. I got to Arizona, and I got the film developed, and right on top, there it was. They come to me in a dream a couple weeks later, and I'm lucid in this dream, and I asked them, "Why did you let me take your photograph this time, since I've seen you since I was a baby? Why now?" They said, "You're going to write a best-selling book about your relationship with us since you were a little girl. And we appeared so the world could believe." So it became the front cover of my book, of course. And I wrote the book 20 years later. What do you say about that, Ray?
Yeah, you got right on that one, didn't you?
I wasn't ready. I hadn't even met Ray yet. I was still in a deadbeat marriage. I mean, I was still working through my heavy lifting, my karma, the rest of my, we all come here to work through it, you guys. I'm no exception. Okay, this is all about, we come here to learn our lessons so we can finally get around to living the life we came here to live. All right. So I guess by the time I met Ray, I had met that point in my life, met up with it, and I was ready to go into action. I mean, right from the beginning, Ray asked me, he goes, "Linda," when we first met, I gave him my card, Channeled Readings, and that's where these are, where people can get them, channeledreadings.com. And I said, I didn't give him my phone number, but I said, "Here's my card." And he went home and he looked up the website and he said, "I want to know how this works. I want to know how to do this." Okay, so he was reaching for it, right? And I said, "Okay," and by then we were dating. And what a great way to start out a relationship. It was just, I mean, Ray and I, when you see us in action today on Marla's show today, you're going to see how smooth Ray is. I mean, it didn't start out that way, but Ray he's amazing. I mean, he lives in this world. He's got a strong anchor in this world, but Ray is really connected. He's always had good intuition, but he wasn't, he didn't get what this was. He didn't understand. All he did was just follow my lead. We worked on it for 15 minutes a day while we were dating. What a great thing to do at the beginning, right? And when we were dating, and 15 minutes a day, after what, 6 months?
Yeah.
Ray was able to really work with me on this. We do it together, Ray and I. Ray speaks out the messages from the guides. They actually assigned him to do that. That was his. I no longer did it.
That was one of the first things they said.
It was, Ray.
Why was I here?
Yeah, I find that so fascinating that Ray is the one, and he hears, and you guys, you're going to see this when they do it, that you don't really even, because I do the same thing on mine when I do it myself. I don't have to go to each letter. It's just moving, and I hear the messages. But it's
Right.
it's so cool.
Now we both hear the messages.
We both hear the same messages.
But the thing is you can't have two people speaking over each other.
Right.
So one has to take the lead. They picked Ray to do that. And I think, and when Ray asked them, "Why did you pick me to do that?" And they said, "Well, you have to do something." So they gave him a job,
That's right. So let's, I'd like to talk about these relationships, that because you met Ray at an older age, you'd already had a couple of marriages before.
Oh yeah. I was
had
51 when I met Ray.
51.
And he was 52.
Yeah, and people often, as I'm a matchmaker and trying to match people up, and people will think, well, maybe I should stick with what I have. I'm too old to find somebody new who will want me. I'm in these patterns, or but so many of us go through very difficult, challenging relationships and patterns. And just talk a little bit about why we do that. I've heard we've decided before we come into this life who we're going to be matched up with in our soul group and what lessons we have to learn through it.
Yeah, and Marla, we go through, until I met Ray, I picked my relationships. I was in charge of that. I did all that picking. And, they were lessons. I got to tell you that they were both lessons. I stayed in them. The first one I stayed in for 10 years. The second one I stayed in for 14 years. I stay with those lessons, and I felt like I did learn what I needed as much as I could. Okay, we all do our best, all right? And I guess I did okay by the time that Ray and I met, because I didn't pick Ray. What happened is I was dating this guy in Sedona in 2003. And, it didn't work out. And I broke it off in December of 2003. And I said to my guides, I said, listen, I was 51 years old. I said, I am really done picking these guys. I don't seem to do a good job of picking the right people for me in these intimate relationships. So I'm going to leave it to you. I'm telling you right now, if I meet the right one, give me a sign. I talk about this in my flagship book, Guided, in part 4. And that happened. I told them that in December of 2003. February 28th of 2004, he shows up. And he was like so focused on me. I'm like, whoa, his energy just blew right through me. I went, oh my God, this is too much. I can't deal with this. It's wham, and so when you feel that energy just hit you, it's like that's screaming at you as far as this is guidance. This is showing you that you're not chasing it. You're clean here. It found you, and it's strong. Okay. But it freaked me out. It was like so strong. I ran out I was in the coffee shop. He looked at me. I looked at him. We smiled at each other, and I jetted out to my car. I
grabbed your latte and ran.
I did. Same day, I go to the gym in Sedona, and who do I run into? Now, he's been living in Sedona at that point for what? 4 years. Never met him. Sedona's only got a population of about 10,000 permanent residents. Very unlikely not to bump into people all the time. And Ray's an out and about guy. I would have seen him. He would have seen me. Never saw each other. Okay, twice in the same days. Okay, so the gym. And he looked at me, he goes, oh my God, you're the girl from the coffee shop. And it was just, and he chased me down and he gave me the 5-minute resume. I mean, this guy was he was relentless. And that's when I gave him my card, said, check me out on my website, no phone numbers. I'm not letting you know where I live, none of that. I didn't, first thing he told me is, hi, I'm the vortex of fun. Okay, I'm Ray, I'm the vortex of fun. Then he said, I'm married. Okay, so that to me was like, whoa. I said, no, I don't go with married guys. Never went with a married man, never would. And it was my number one rule. So he went through his little resume. I let him do all the talking. And he, and anyway.
I proposed.
Yeah, you proposed to me right there, even though he was married.
In the first 15 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, it was about 8 days later, my guides, I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, and I said, I met somebody, but he's married. That's never going to happen. And she says, she was just talking about, oh, I know who Ray is. He goes to the film festival every year in Sedona. We love Ray, and everything. And I'm letting her talk. And through the phone line, like the old party line, comes a voice that says, word for word, lose your rules. He's the one. I'm like, whoa. And I dropped the phone. I go, oh my God. And I know my guides. I've since I was a little baby, they've been the connection I've had with them. I know that when they come through, and especially something like that, it's like, oh, I can't even avoid this one. This one, get over your, whatever this is, Linda, in you, the remaining, there was a little bit of healing I had left to do inside me that kept me from letting people into my life. Okay. And he came at me so strong. I mean, with the energy, I don't mean that he overpowered me. I mean that his energy, I'm sensitive. I can feel this stuff. Okay. It was like I had to get over it. I had to just not let that dominate me. And so I breathed and I breathed and I said, okay. So 3 days after that, we've been together. Ray and I've been together. It'll be 15 years that we've been married as of January 1st of next month. We've been apart 2 nights since we've met.
That's amazing.
We work together. We live together. Everything we do is together. It's just what? I never could have found that myself, Marla, because I was chasing it. I was pointing it out and saying, I'll have one of those, I'll have one of those,
Yes,
it doesn't work like that.
How much guidance do you need? First of all, you said you saw me in the coffee shop and we looked at each other and the energy just blasted right through you.
I know.
Enough to scare you.
It did.
Okay, that was first guidance. Second guidance, that afternoon, we meet in the gym and I proposed to you in the first 15 minutes.
Married? Seriously? Are you kidding? Okay, Steve.
But I have a question. Was he, and Ray, were you in a bad marriage? Were you planning to
Terrible,
leave marriage?
terrible.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. It was, I've been in 2 marriages before too, just like Linda. But so there was a second guidance. Somebody proposed to you within the first 15 minutes that they met you. And then the third thing with the message coming through the phone. 3 times.
Oh, I know.
Each time got a little stronger.
Oh, it was powerful. And even before that, Marla, the year before, when I was I lived in Sun Valley, Idaho for a little while, where I skated every day. I loved it. Okay. And when I was leaving in August of 2002. I started doing this. You know how you fiddle with that ring finger on your wedding finger? I'm going, what the heck? I went, I'm going to be getting married. And see, they send you all these signs that I'm so used to grasping and going, this little thing to me is not a little thing. To me, that's huge when they come through, okay? So it's a matter of consciousness. I'm just used to it, okay? Receiving these guidance, different ways they communicate with us. And I just went, okay, well, this is going to be out of my hands. I can feel that. I can feel they're moving my way with something that I'm ready for. And okay, so this is really interesting. Ray and I meet, and he wants to know how this works, and I teach him how it works. 15 minutes a day, in a loving beginning of a new relationship that's heavenly. Oh my God. Okay, then the guides through this process, they start telling me, Linda, the book. Now this is 10 years after they came to me the first time. Okay, when they first showed up, and I took their photograph, and they showed up in that dream. They said, Linda, the book, it's time for the book. Ray is a significant part of this book. Without Ray, honestly, Marla, I never would have done it. I wouldn't have done it. This has been a huge project. I had no idea, all right?
It's a huge
amazing.
book.
It's changed everything of your whole career because you were in real estate before and mortgage.
It yanked me out of all that. Yeah. It was like, Linda, you've done this long enough. You got your thing from real estate. Get over it. Let's move on. We came here to do this work. Come on, And you can feel it in your body. You can feel it in here. You can feel it. It's like a rush. You can't stop it. It's like the feeling of love when you get this guidance. It's so strong. And for some people, like with Ray, when he shot that energy at me at that first time, it was scary, the love, that intensity. It was like, oh my God. I guess I was living a pretty comfortable life, and all of a sudden, bam,
And do the guides tell you that you and Ray were in other lifetimes together and were?
No, they never talked to us. Do you remember them talking
No, I don't
about
remember
that?
them ever talking about that.
No, they never talked about that. It was just about,
were we soulmates in another lifetime,
They never went into any of that, and we never asked about it. It's more like we let the guides tell us what they see, and then I'll comment or ask about what they just said. instead of coming to the guides with this whole list of questions. I don't do it like that. I don't need to do that.
Okay,
you know?
this is great. Let's show people how it works. How about giving the guides giving me a message without me asking anything?
There you go, Marla. Marla's a matchmaker. We know Marla, what Marla does. Release any kind of expectation you have. Release your body. Let the tension out. Okay, breathe. And breathe like you're catching that yawn, that breath. Okay. And really breathe. And that yawn. Beautiful, Marla. I love it. Okay. Oh, Marla's spirit guides and angels are here with us now. And they're just going to tell you what they see going on with you right now, Marla, in your life. What you need to know right now. What is the most important thing Marla needs to know right now through your eyes?
Hello, Marla. It's nice being here with you today. We come in truth and love. We see that you are experiencing great doubt and anticipation over the future, especially the next 2 years. What we want you to do is begin writing down the things you've been missing, like anything odd or out of the ordinary or unusual that happens in your daily life. Most people think when these things happen that they're just nothing. Nothing is nothing. Everything is significant, even in its own insignificant way. Once you start writing down the message you got from a stranger, the song you heard on the radio, and out of the ordinary occurrence with someone you know, only then can you begin to piece together how they all relate. Once you see this pattern of guidance coming through, you will look back and be shocked of how it all works together and has been unfolding all along.
Okay, what they're talking about is this journal. This journal is my 4th book. It's called My Guided Journey, and it's the companion journal to Guided. It came about as a result of the literally thousands of fans that read Guided around the world that came to me and they said, after reading Guided, I get it. I get this. I feel this connection to my guides, but how do I do this and how do I keep this? That's how this came about. This was a work in progress for over a year before it was published, before Ray and I published it.
Worked with about, what, 150 people?
Yeah. And we fleshed out everything and we've refined it. And I can't explain it, but the guides, they come through and I'll wake up in the morning and it's just like, whoop, it just comes out. And there it is. And I just type it out as fast as I can so I don't lose it. Right, Marla? You know those feelings.
Right. So in that book, in that journal, is it blank pages or are there prompts?
Yeah.
3 parts.
There's 3 parts to the book. Part 1 is about how all the books, Guided, My Guided Journey, and my journal writing all work together. This is called the guided journal writing system. And it is in 3 parts. So you read guided first, so you can see how I did it. Then you get this journal and you take your journey in part 2 of this book, 18 chapters, where you go back to your early life and you re-examine what happened back there that continue to control your life now. Okay, where you're going, God, I keep picking the same kind of people. What am I doing? I can't help myself. I don't know what I'm doing. And it happened so long ago when you were just a little child that you just pulled it in and you didn't know it wasn't yours. And you took on all the shame and the guilt and the responsibility that the adults were unwilling to take on and face. Okay, but you, the little child, had more guts and you had more sense than any adult had, because you were wide open. You were awake. You just got here. Okay, so part 2 is the 18 chapters where you go back to your early life and you restore your life. And I did a video, Ray and I did videos on each one of these chapters to get you started writing out what happened in those early parts of your life and get you into the right mindset, so you didn't go about writing from that broken, damaged, hurt little child, but from who you are now and looking at it like it almost happened to someone else, so you can document what happened, write about how that made you feel. That's the second question. There's 4 qualifying questions. Writing down what it is, how it felt, and then what you realized from it. When you realize what you realized from it, now you have the power to take the action. And that's the 4th question.
And how do we find out how to take that action then, once we kind of, how to heal ourselves?
You're going to know. When you go back, Marla, and you write down what that was that happened.
Right.
The first chapter is fear. Okay, that, believe it or not, the first thing that happened to us in this life, bam, is we got hit with fear. People in this life that were already here, shocked us out of our connection to the other side. And it happened, by, don't you ever touch that again. Don't you go across that street again. Don't you? And the little child just reacted and got scared. And the whole thing that happened, the dynamic that went down in that moment for every one of us, was so life-changing, and it wasn't good. All right, it's over. The people in this world overdo it. It's just overkill. So, and it was one thing after another. The first chapter is fear. The second one is learning to ask you guys. The next one is your friends. Who are these friends that came with you? Okay, that the people in this world keep saying, who are you talking to? Okay.
You don't have invisible friends.
It's like you're the only one that has it together, and they're the ones that think they have it together. All right, as they impose all this on you, and that's how we lose our way, as little kids. So what it does is it brings you back. It brings you, the real you, back into the picture, so that this part of you that's in this world that took on all this programming doesn't and cause this to retreat again. Oh my God. Okay, it's about calming this down so this can begin to trust you again,
Right. Well, and we're programmed so much in the way of relationships by Disney films and, Prince Charming, and even people saying, oh, there's no good men out there. They're all taken, or guys are jerks.
That's all not true. That is so not true.
Programmed, and I hear it regurgitated from women I speak to, oh, I can't find anybody, I'm too old, or there's nobody good, or I can't trust. So
they're angry, and they're offended, and they're hurt, and they're okay. That's all the stuff that we took on when we were little kids. It's a natural knee-jerk response to keep being a victim, but it's not true. We should not be reacting that way, because we're missing the guidance. When we act like that, we cut off the guidance and we can't hear the messages. Okay. So here's what the book looks like on the inside. You actually have blank pages
where
you fill out what's going on with you. Okay, so this is chapter 1 through 18. Which chapter is that one?
This is We Become Best Friends.
We Become Best Friends. This is the progression you went through as a little child. And when you start to piece yourself back together again and remember, and go to the next chapter, and remember, and write down, and you'll just go, oh, this, it's just overwhelming. I had an interview psychologist did with me in LA. Her name is Dr. Michelle Cohen. On the Couch with Dr. Michelle is the name of her show. She's been on for 20 years. She's had me on twice now, three times. And she calls my work of the 3 books, and especially this one, it's a mix of spirituality and unexpected psychology. That's what this does. So it's bringing, and I want to say that what it does is it brings in both worlds. That's what she's really saying. It's not just this one or just this one. The work I do brings them together.
Right.
And that's why my life always worked out, Marla, because I wasn't just coming from this world. I let people think I was, but they always wondered how I got things done so quickly, how I had all this energy, how I knew when to get in and when to get out of a situation. I was connected, okay? I wasn't just in this world, all right? No matter how much I may not have wanted things to change, because I was really doing well, the guys would come through and say, hey, it's time to implement your exit plan, Linda. It's time to get the heck out, okay? Or get away from that person, or whatever. And I never messed around with it. It's like I got the information. Maybe it would rock me back for 5 minutes, but I'd be right in there, man, taking action. No messing around, okay? So, okay.
So Marla, there's 3 parts, like you said, to the book. The second part, part 2, are these 18 chapters where you walk yourself back from where you are now in your life, back to the time when you got here as a baby, or like Linda doesn't call them babies, she calls them new people, where you were the purest and the most powerful of any time since you got here. And she said the first one was fear, facing your first fear, then ask how to ask for help. And then your friends, who these invisible friends are. The friendship grows. We become best friends. We did everything together. They always showed you new things. You became cautious in life.
Right.
You reached a crossroads where you had to choose. You became rebellious. You separated from many of the things in your life. You compromised the rest. The fear comes back. You start to question. Now you're getting older. Now you're 40, 50 years old. You start to question everything. The why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Time alone. You have a lot of time alone. All of a sudden, your mate leaves. They die.
The kids
are gone. And then the last 2, 17 and 18, are, we have been waiting for you to be ready. And then you are not alone.
You see how this affects Ray? Yeah. I can only tell you, Ray, without him, you guys, I could have never done this on my own. Ray has the biggest heart. I never would have found that on my own, Marla. It was sent in divinely to me. What a beautiful man. What can I tell you? It's just, I don't even know what to say about it.
And then tell them how part 3 was.
Part 3 is the part where 15 minutes a day. Here's what the guides recommend. In part 3, it's the journal. It's the my journal writing. It's the 3rd book, but I have 20 pages of the 3rd book at the end of the 2nd book. So you can begin to flesh these things out. Before you start taking the journey in part 2 of this book, I recommend that you start writing in part 3. And 15 minutes a day, write down what came through that was unusual or out of the ordinary in your life. It's your 15-minute a day meeting you have with your higher self, with your universe, with your spirit guides, with something that's more intelligent than what's going on in this world. Okay, sorry, but it's just the way it is in my opinion. All right, and it's where you go and you get your quiet time, your alone time, and you spend this time writing. It turns into what you'll recognize as you put these journal entries together day after day after day after day, and you look back a week from now or a month from now, and you look at what you wrote, and you'll recognize most of it. but some of it you won't.
Yeah, you're writing down the things that are odd and out of the ordinary, but you're also writing things down that you're having a problem with. You're having a problem with a specific person, a family member or a friend, or with a relationship or a job, or trying to make some big decision. So that's the biggest problem. The decision making becomes the biggest problem when you get to be older, because of all these things that you were taught when you were a child that were wrong.
Right, that you're basing your decisions on.
Those things you were taught that were not true, and you absorbed them as truth, became your belief systems that you made decisions from the rest of your life.
Right, and you don't even know you're doing it. Okay, it's just like with Ray. I had to quit picking my partners. I had some kind of a malfunction going on.
Hey, I had the same malfunction, so I think a lot of
Everybody does.
So the whole point to this is part 3. When you work in part 3 and you start doing this every day, that 15-minute meeting, and you write about what's going on in your life, the out of the ordinary, unusual, or what's bothering you, or whatever. The guides are there to help you solve these problems. All right. When you see what's going on, then you can see what keeps repeating itself over and over and over again, and then you can identify the chapter in part 2 that needs attention right now and work on it.
It's exactly what the guides told me, and my message was pay attention to it's basically pay attention to signs. They were telling me that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right.
The answers are going to be in the signs, the way the universe speaks to you.
And you've got, Marla, what the whole point and what they said to you is you can't, here's what it's like. It's like this information comes through, this guidance comes through. It's all out of context. It's like, oh yeah, it was kind of like this. It happened, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. It was when, I don't know, it's something like that. That is not how we get tuned into guidance. We have got to go back and start documenting what's coming through when it comes through. Okay, write it down. Don't trust your memory anymore. It's failing you, all of you.
And there's a foolproof inquiry process that Linda walks you through,
right,
with everything you write down.
Right. In other words, there's these little boxes at the top, right up in here, that ask you to better detail and identify what you just wrote down. The first thing you do is write it down. And then you back up and then you answer those little questions up there. And then when you do that, then you can answer how it feels and write that down. And when you have written it down, you've answered those, you've checked out those boxes that apply, and then you know how this feels, you will, without even trying, you will just realize something and write that down. And it's in the realizing it, Marla. It's only when you have that realization that you have the power to take action.
Right.
You can't take action. You can say, I want to change this. I want this to be different. But you can't. You cannot do it until you write it down and then check out the boxes that apply up above to get you deeper into what you just wrote down and how it felt, and realize you're not going to, you don't stand a chance. Okay. And here's what's really cool about this. Once you have your journal entries in there, day after day after day after day, you're going to see something about you that you've never seen before. You suspected it. You did know it, okay? But you couldn't see it. You couldn't nail it. Where now you can use it in your life and go, okay, wait a second. This is a game changer. I can make a course correction, and I'm going to know how to do it. One other thing I want to say about this journal, this is nobody's business but your own. This is really important. You guys keep your guidance to yourself. What you find and you write into these pages, don't you dare share this with anybody. This is too important for you to reduce it down to that level. Sorry, but that's how it is. You share this with somebody else, they're going to criticize you. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to say, really? You were always thinking that, or whatever it is. I just want you guys to know this work is too important. You get through book number 2, you get through just this one, and I guarantee you'll have your life back. You will never put up with the things you used to put up with again.
This is so great, Linda, because I know people who are not healthy, they're not taking care of themselves, they're overweight, they're smoking, they're drinking too much, they're procrastinating, they're thinking
Those things will all go away when they do this work. They think that losing weight's the point. It is absolutely the byproduct of taking the action.
Taking control. Well, this is timely that you're doing this today, Marla, because we're right around the end of the year, and guess what comes up every year this time? New Year's resolutions.
Right.
You know, that 80% of them don't work out, and most of them they give up on by January the 12th.
That's because the foundation upon which they're building their hopes and dreams is flawed. Okay, you've got to do this work. You've got to write in here every day. What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Start anywhere, but start the journal entries. Start the work in part 3. You will get to part 2 at the right time. Once you see what part 3 starts showing you, okay, you'll want to go into part 2 and go, wait a minute. Wow. And you'll be ready to do it. Okay.
And part 2, like Linda said, there's 18 chapters and there's 18 hour-long videos that Linda and I did where I interview Linda about that chapter.
And I get into that, the meat of it on each one of those, chapter 1 through 18, fear, ask, friends, all the things that you went through as a little child. And I guarantee you, Marla, when you hear it, you'll remember what you forgot.
Oh, I can't wait to do this.
See, all I do, Marla, in my work, I don't teach anybody anything. I don't teach it. I only remind them who they are. That's all I do. I trigger them.
I have a question too. So you get guided. Now I've read Guided, a wonderful book, and now I need to get and I do have my universal channel, so I'm going to get the journals, and I'm going to do that in 2020. Now, do people, if they get those, do they have to have that universal channel, the board? Because they might think, well, I don't know how to. I don't know.
These are companions, really. These are companions. This is the first step you take to start unraveling your life. All right. This is an advanced level of taking it to the next level. This is more advanced. And we have a group called Ask the Universal Channel on Facebook. It's a private group. You have to ask to join because you have to have one of these so you can work with the other people in the group with this. And we've taught 3 people over the last, but we personally taught 3 of them hand-picked, okay, over the course of about a year and a half, how to really master using this right on our Zoom channel. We never even met them until the last month when they showed up. They all came in from different parts of the country to meet us, So that was the first time we actually met, but they are really good at this, Marla. You wouldn't believe how good these guys are.
And they give free lessons. And
they teach the new students.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, isn't it? And it's all about, for me, being able to use that by myself. It's about the frequency, the energy, that once you're opened up to that, it can flow through, because otherwise it's not going to do it. So.
And this particular talking board, this is the design that my guides showed me in my dreams. This came through my dreams. Okay, this is what they wanted it to look like, and they did it for 2 reasons. You can use it with the planchette, the speller, like this, or you can use it. It's optimized for the use with a pendulum. And every single one of the people we taught started with pendulum.
Right. Plus, there's a digital version of this. There's this original manufactured version like you have. There's
the official
one. There's a printable one, because we can't ship this out of the country because everybody they steal them all the time. So we have a printable version that anybody in the world can download.
Right.
And it looks just like this, and then you can put it right in a plastic slip and it'll never wear out,
Right.
And then there's a digital version that for your smartphone or your tablet, or
you have it with you everywhere.
You have, and that is, about the board's about that big on your cell phone. Okay.
So the pendulum really.
So you need a pendulum with a point.
So you have your own pendulum, and then you hold it over the smartphone one.
Right. Exactly. So you always have the board with you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And if you have it on a tablet, you could use your finger, just like instead of the planchette. Or if it's on your laptop or desktop,
use your mouse.
The mouse becomes
your speller.
The speller.
All right, I love it. And then you do your video, you do videos. Is it still every Tuesday?
Yeah, we're live on Facebook every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Under
And
Linda
that,
Deir?
pardon?
Under Linda Deir?
Linda
No.
Deir author.
Author.
And what we do,
I
our
went there
theme,
Tuesday,
our
but
theme for, I just want to make this one point. Our theme for each one of those on Tuesdays is Linda's weekly guided insights. People go to the website and it's free. You sign up, but then you get the insights so you see what the topic is that night. So you can join in with your questions right there on the stream. Ray manages the Facebook stream while we're streaming live to Facebook, and we stay on topic. Otherwise, if somebody wants to ask about guided or any of these books, I will break through the theme that night and answer their questions because these are important. All right.
And the talking board, Ask the Universal Channel, is related to the writing in part 3 because they're both, once you start writing in part 3 and you start to see these patterns appear over a month, let's say.
Guidance starts infiltrating
your writing, right. So what happens is you go back in a month and you reread everything you wrote in a month and you go, God, I don't remember writing that. That I wouldn't speak like that. I didn't even think like that. Why? How did that come through? Well, it's dowsing, just like this is.
Right.
It's automatic writing.
Right. This is based on the principles of dowsing, just like that. So that's how they're connected. Okay. This is just a more aggressive. When you sit with your guides and you learn how to do this, Ray and I sit down on command. We can get any answers we need. That's pretty damn good. All right. Yeah. And you're not having to filter through your through what's going on in your head, or all you do is you breathe out all that junk before you start, and they can come through and they can actually say what they intend to say without you interrupting it with your filter. Yeah.
I mean, I love the board, and I will do readings for people. I'll do a tarot reading, and then I'll pull out my board and I'll get more.
Great, Marla.
And it's just flowing right through. It's just amazing. And every time you're thinking, well, is this correct? And the people validate it. Oh yes, oh my gosh.
Isn't it the best feeling too, Marla? Isn't it?
Feeling, being guided, just letting that come through.
It's
well, there's a test. Tell me what the test is. When you're using the board, okay, or you're writing in your journal in the back, the guides always say that truth and love are the same thing. When they come through, when somebody tells you, here you go, in your business, in the matchmaking business, when somebody tells you that they love you, how do you know they're not lying? Because you don't feel loved when they said it.
Right. It feels like you're being set up or
manipulated.
Yes.
So
exactly.
when the guidance comes through, how do you know if it's true or if it's you? Is it the guides coming through, or is it you making up stuff in your head?
Is it true or is it you?
Right.
Oh my God.
Is it true or is it you?
I like that.
When they come through with a message and you feel it in your gut, for guys,
in your heart.
In your heart, you feel it. That's love. You feel what you're feeling is love.
It's a transmission that's superior to language, is what Ray's saying.
Right.
It's an energy.
Yes.
Okay, and you know it. If you feel empty when the person says it, or you feel like it doesn't feel right, it isn't right.
They're lying.
So don't question yourself. But what you need to do, part 3, you need to write down what just happened and what you realized, even if you didn't want it to be true. Even if you wanted that person to love you, I want him to love me. Oh, but you know what? There's something wrong, something flawed about this person that they can't love. Something's wrong in them, that they're dragging a leg through this life and missing something. Okay, and they may be attracted to you because you are crawling out of that, and they don't even realize it consciously that they're attracted to that because their soul wants to heal it. Okay, it's a real interesting process, you guys.
And in your business where you're working with matchmaking people and they tell you they're in a loving relationship, okay, but they can't figure out what's wrong with that loving relationship because they don't, well, number one, they don't feel loved, and how they got to that point in what they call a relationship is that they compromised their values so many times,
Right.
and not showing up on the first date as who they really are, and not some person that they don't want. Well, I'm not going to tell them about this, or I'm not going to tell them. I would never want them to know about that. And both people do it on the first date. You're not who you are on the first date. That's like going on a job interview. You know, you're never any better person than what you are on your resume.
Isn't that too bad?
Or I find on a first date, people will spill their guts too much. They'll talk about their, abused childhood.
And Marla, why do they, let Marla say, why do they do that?
Well, alcohol sometimes brings that out.
There you go. Yeah, that works all the time.
But I don't know. They treat it more like a therapy session. I'll have many men will say, Marla, I went out with Susan or whatever, and I had a long day at work. I was just looking forward to having a nice dinner with a beautiful woman. It's a first date, and she's dumping all this stuff on me that she can't pay her rent, that she's, has her in child custody or whatever. And I felt like it was just a therapy session, and I was the therapist. And then they don't want to see the person again.
This thing with My Guided Journey will cut through the chase. It will stop it all, Marla. When you get this book, you're going to see how intelligent this book is. I mean, I sat down. This is really interesting about this book. I sat down when I first started writing it. I sat down at my computer and I typed out the opening, what precedes the session to explain what that chapter is about. Okay, so the person can wrap their head around it. And when I sat down and I wrote these, and I wrote them each week for 18 weeks, I didn't write them all at once. I let them come through me as guidance wanted to come through, spaced out in a patient and orderly fashion. I just let it come through, and then Ray would do the interview with me, and I'd get the video up, and it was a process and a process. And you can't be anxious, and you can't anticipate, and you can't want it to be sooner, and you can't be your human being, a human getting in the way. Okay, so I just let it come through me, and just every single one of these chapters, this is just blows my mind. One side of the page and the other side of the page. Each one of these chapters ended within one sentence of the end of the second page. I'm going, I could have never designed that if it was something, a regimen that I decided to frame it around. I still couldn't have done that. But they can do it just like that. If you stay out of the way and you let yourself be the vessel that brings it through. This book is not heavy duty, intense like Guided. Okay, Guided is massive. Okay, this is bite size. It's can do size. It gets back into your little child, into your true self, into your true nature, and it pulls on that, and that's what brings you back again and make this connection where you're back in one piece again. That's when your guides are going, okay, great. Now we can reach you. And you will automatically go true north. You'll know what to do, when to do it. That's what I learned from the time I was a child. I was under great duress as a child, but I had to be awake. I had to be fast on my feet. I had to, it forced me to do it. Okay. We plan all this stuff before we come here. What was I thinking? I don't know.
Yeah, you're Guided as a memoir, a true story of your life, so you guys, that's a great place to start to find out about what Linda went through and how
it is. It's recommended reading before you start taking this journey, because otherwise you'll kind of get it, but when you see what happened here and how I got it, and then how this unfolds, the companion journal to Guided, My Guided Journey. I can only tell you that I've got so many people that have taken this journey. One woman recently, Jackie Bailey out of Redmond, Washington, her heart's desire was to open this school up to teach kids how to be presenters, public speakers, and this kind of thing as children. This is so good. Okay. and how to present themselves, how to come out, okay, how not hide anymore, like kids are taught. They're terrified, they're bullied,
Everybody's terrified of public speaking.
I mean, this world, quit letting this world snuff out your flame. So she's about showing these kids, letting them experience it and learn it. And she had this dream for years and years and years. They had me on their
She's a co-host with a radio show
up there in Washington, and they interviewed me in second time in February of this year, and Jackie was on that show co-hosting, and she loved what this was about. So she got this, and she read guided first before the show, and then she got this, and by that was the end of
February.
April.
Yeah.
No, April.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the second interview.
Right.
No, that was the first interview. April was the first interview, and she got this, and she started writing in the journal
First week of May.
the very next day, which was May 1. And by June, she all of a sudden on the pages in part 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what you need to do in the sequence in which you need to do it. Do it now. She went right to work on it. She opened her school in September, and on the day she opened it, they had me back on for the next interview, and she talked about what happened and how this worked for her. It's powerful.
I love it. All right, so you guys, you can get that at you can go to lindadeir.com.
Amazon.
On Amazon.
Right. Just go to Amazon, put Linda Deir, D as in David, E-I-R, Linda Deir in the search, and you'll find all my books. This is my guided journey. That's the one that we're talking about right here. But you'll really need this one. And this book here was done in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook, and I read the audiobook myself.
Yeah, you did that. I've got it on Kindle, and I'm going to read it again, actually.
Yeah.
I read it about 3 few
By the way, you have the Kindle. Tell her about this.
If you already have the Kindle version,
Yes.
you just go back to her book, go back to your Amazon account and look at the audiobook version, and you'll get a little message that pops up that says, hey, Marla, now since you've already bought the Kindle, you can get the audiobook for $1.99 instead of $20.
Oh, how fun.
Okay.
But you have to get the Kindle first all the time.
Yeah, I've got the Kindle. I'll do it. So let's ask the guides to give us a parting message. And
okay, Marla. And we're talking about, when we started out today, you started talking about the new year and relationships, and then comes Valentine's Day.
And we have a new decade coming.
A new decade.
2020. What does that say? What does it say, Ray?
Clarity.
What?
Clarity.
2020 vision. That's right. So we want a shot of 2020 vision
from the guides.
At Marla is in the matchmaking business, and she really, really, really is good at what she does. She's done it for 18 years, right, Marla?
Yes.
The girl is on her game, lives right in the heart of the action, right there in LA. And Marla's a master at this. She's seen enough. She's been through enough where she's a really, really good at helping her clients find the right situation. But Marla also knows that there's healing that sometimes has to happen for the person so they can really get that, okay? So anyway, let's close it with that in mind about Marla, her business, the matchmaking business, and 2020 and the whole shooting match. How about that, Marla?
Sounds
The whole thing, yeah. All right, and here they go, Marla. This will be interesting.
Oops, slide around a little bit here.
Oh, there we go.
2020 will be the dawn of new clarity in your life.
In Marla's life? Is that
in everyone's life?
in everyone's life? Okay.
2020 will set the stage for the experiences you have over the next 5 years. You should start out the year not reviewing what hasn't worked over the last year and the year before and the year before that, because they were the same things over and over again. It's time to think about not what you want, but who you want to become. What you need or what you think you need may not be in line with who you are becoming. Each thing you choose to take action on in 2020 should have a reason that's clear to you why you're doing it. What we're telling you is that it's not so important what you do, but why you do it that makes you self-realize the person who you are. You are not a product of your environment or past relationships or the things people you think have done to you in the past. Everything that's happened in the past happened for you and not to you. They were the lessons you agreed to before you got here, and there will be more. But if you expect them and view them as life lessons, you will grow faster, get out of toxic situations much quicker, and take back control over your life. Stop compromising your life away. Show up every day as who you really are, so you can design your own destiny.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, guides. Thank you, Linda and Ray. Oh my
It's
God.
the best, Marla, the best. They're so clear, and they're not worried about if you can handle the truth.
Right.
What they always tell me is they say, of course you can.
You can.
You
All
know.
right, you guys. So go to Amazon and get the guided and the workbook, and let's do this together for 2020, and put the comments below in the video. Come back and let us know how you're doing, how you're progressing, what your insights are.
One last thing. We're going to be live in Phoenix, December 14th.
Week from Saturday.
A week from this Saturday, from 1 to 3 Mountain Standard Time, 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is available on my website, Linda Deir author. I'm lindadeir.com. That's D as in David, E-I-R, lindadeir.com. And right there, events. You'll see the events. You can join this event either on location, or you can join this event via live streaming. We'll be streaming it live over the internet to anywhere in the world. So, and it's only $9.95 to.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, get on Linda's newsletter, you guys.
Yeah, that one's good too. And the name of this event is, Ray, do you remember what it is?
2020, spirit guides navigate you through the volatile year to come.
And it's going to be volatile. But
Whoa.
you guys, it's supposed to be fun. Okay,
Yeah.
this is this is how we claim our lives. We don't just sit on the sidelines and become a victim of all this. No, we ride our pony. We get in there and we live our life and we are part of this. Don't be afraid to be part of this. You signed up for it. Okay.
There's a reason why you're here at this time of your life.
We signed up, you guys. We signed up.
We signed up for it. Don't miss your life, man. It's too much fun. Don't miss it.
All right, you guys. Much love, everybody.
Love you, Marla. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.